Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video it is going to be another Cinema Showdown versus video. For this showdown, it is going to be The Batman versus The Dark Knight. So this is likely the most hotly debated topic going on in the movie world right now. Ever since the release of The Batman, everyone has been revealing their rankings, who their favorite Batman is, who their favorite villains are, but what it all really boils down to is which movie is better. And you know me by now, I just had to get my 2 cents in there. As per usual, I will be comparing and contrasting these two movies across 5 rounds to determine one winner. And right now, I will be issuing a major spoiler warning. In order for me to cover this topic appropriately and do it justice, I am going to have to get into some story elements for The Batman. So, major spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Before I hop into the actual showdown itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my Cinema Showdown versus videos. So be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Round 1. Main characters. The Dark Knight offers up Christian Bale returning to star as the Dark Knight himself, Michael Caine as his trusty butler and partner in crime Alfred, Gary Oldman once again as Commissioner Gordon, Maggie Gyllenhaal replaces Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes, Aaron Eckhart joins the cast as Harvey Dent and later Two-Face, but we won't be discussing his Two-Face portrayal in this round. And lastly, but certainly not least, the great Morgan Freeman returns as Lucius Fox. The Batman comes back swinging with a stacked cast filling in the shoes of these iconic characters, like Robert Pattinson donning the cape and cowl as the titular Batman, Zoe Kravitz at his side as Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, Jeffrey Wright takes on the role of James Gordon, and Andy Serkis offers us a fresh take on Alfred. I adore both of these casts, and each actor fittingly portrays their respective versions of these characters perfectly. And I say their respective versions because Robert Pattinson's Bat wouldn't work in The Dark Knight just like Bale's wouldn't work in The Batman. But in their own universes, the casting couldn't have been better and their performances any more flawless. However, having already established characters returning to continue their journeys, while also having a long line of Hollywood A-listers who truly shine, is going to give The Dark Knight this first round. This was a really tough decision, but come on. Bale, Caine, Oldman, Freeman, Eckhart, and Gyllenhaal, you really just can't beat it. Round 2. Villains. I think that most people forget that The Dark Knight actually offers up a pretty wide variety of villains. Although it does make sense because there is one giant shadow cast over all of them by one in particular. But we have Lau, Chechen, Maroni, and in the final act, Harvey Dent makes the switch to the villainous Two-Face. Of course, however, I should probably address the elephant in the room, that is Heath Ledger's legendary performance as the Joker, which nabbed the late actor an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor after his sudden and tragic passing. The Batman didn't just come to play ball though, it came to win this round, giving us some extremely heavy hitters like John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, a completely unrecognizable Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot aka Penguin, and the shockingly unhinged, sick and sadistic but undeniably brilliant Riddler, portrayed magnificently by Paul Dano. Okay, this round was unbelievably tough. I think in terms of volume matching quality, I would go with the Batman. Sure, I found Falcone to be a little undercooked, but Farrell completely embraced the makeup and perfectly embodied the Penguin, while Paul Dano instantly became one of my all-time favorite movie villains. However, I do truthfully and honestly believe that not only did Heath Ledger give one of the best performances ever put to film, but also left us with the parting gift of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, movie villain of all time. Round 2 is also going to go to The Dark Knight. Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face is solid, the others are more so background filler, so to me they're just the cherries on top of an already fully iced cake. Round 3. Action and Spectacle. When it comes to The Dark Knight, and really the Dark Knight trilogy as a whole, action isn't really their strongest point. In fact, I don't really think it's their forte at all. The action in this movie and in this trilogy is likely my biggest gripe with it. Yes, I get that it is the grounded and realistic version of Batman, but the hand-to-hand combat is just plain bad. Slow, clunky, and at times just really awkward. It is a major improvement over Batman Begins though, because at least we can actually see what's happening this time. Although Batman does tend to use more creative tactics and gadgets to dispatch of his foes, which tries to make up for the lesser hand-to-hand combat to mixed results. When it comes to spectacle, however, this movie has it on point. There are some best in the industry kind of sequences in here. Chief among them is the entire chase sequence with the 18-wheeler, which concludes with the now iconic truck flip. There are plenty of other sequences that can be mentioned too, like the bank heist being one of the greatest movie openings ever made, the final sequence with the fairies, or the hospital scene. Look, I'm going to be straight up with you. The action in the Batman is just flat out better in every conceivable way. The hand-to-hand combat is better. He uses his gadgets more effectively. He's an absolute tank, and he's overall just more creative and effective when dispatching his foes. Sure, there aren't any big iconic set pieces, at least as of right now, but this is also just his first movie, and he's only a year 2 Batman. However, I will say that I do believe the highway chase sequence is truly exhilarating with what might be my favorite Batmobile, and the final act is more exciting than The Dark Knight as well. It may not be action or spectacle, but there are far more intense sequences in here as well, with people's lives at stake and riddles at play. I am so split on this round as well. There are indeed more epic sequences in The Dark Knight. I mean, you have the truck flip, the bank heist, and so on, but the action is just far superior in the Batman. When it comes down to the wire and a decision needs to be made, I'm going to go with my gut and give this third round to the Batman. It's got almost Arkham-styled video game combat. The final sequence is more thrilling, and it just offers up much more variety. Round 4. Style and direction. I'm going to be straight up with you once again. Christopher Nolan is my all-time favorite director. The dude is just a master of his craft. Therefore, I feel the direction for The Dark Knight is phenomenal, superb, top-notch. But another one of my biggest gripes with this trilogy, and I do have very few gripes, is that it really lacks any sort of unique, distinguishable style. Gotham just looks and feels like a normal city. It was shot in Chicago, and it's just Chicago. The cinematography is immaculate. Do not get me wrong on that point whatsoever. But this world just doesn't really give off the Batman feel at all. The costume design is just your standard everyday work attire, although I do genuinely love Ledger's Joker look and Bale's new bat suit, but there's really nothing special about this movie's world. And I get it, they were trying to make Batman in the real world. And these movies being so grounded in reality is why so many people love and praise them. But I believe that that is primarily in terms of the storytelling. The Batman gave us what I believe to be the most accurate portrayal of Gotham we have ever gotten. And by far the best looking Gotham since the Tim Burton movies. It is just far more diverse and unique. It feels like the Gotham that has always been shown to us on the comic book pages and in animated form come to life. And it was just never fully realized until now. It's got the superior costume design that blends wonderfully with the world and atmosphere and tone of the movie, and I just love how it feels like its own thing and very far removed from anything we have gotten before. Also, Matt Reeves is no slouch in the director's chair either by any means. This man has already delivered us Cloverfield as well as both Dawn of and War for the Planet of the Apes. He is quickly becoming a hot commodity in Hollywood and a household name, and he totally deserves it. Though I would likely give the directing edge to Nolan, not everyone is going to agree with me there, and I have to admit there is a bit of bias with him being my favorite director. Not everyone likes his style, and yes, I know it is my video, but I also can't just say flat out like, yeah, he automatically wins because I love him. I have to take a more analytical approach and consider every factor of this round. Because when it comes to the style, the look and feel that these movies give off, it is no contest. Therefore, I'm going to be giving this fourth round to the Batman. The overall style and aesthetic of the Batman is, in my opinion, currently unmatched. From Gotham to the costume design, both superhero and not, to the Batmobile, to the Iceberg Lounge, all of it is truly unique and the most well-realized version of the Batworld yet. Final round. Storytelling. The Dark Knight tells a grand, epic, and sprawling story, filled with clever twists and turns and some very high stakes. This movie is set just a year after the events of Batman Begins. It sees Batman, Lieutenant James Gordon, and the new District Attorney of Gotham, Harvey Dent, working tirelessly to rid Gotham of its criminal underworld plague. That is until a sadistic and mysterious new criminal arrives in Gotham known only as the Joker. As his reign of terror and chaos begins, he pushes the city and our heroes to their limits. The Batman sees our titular hero in just his second year of his crime-fighting career, when a sick and twisted serial killer known only as the Riddler begins picking off key political figures in Gotham. The Batman is forced to play his games and try to solve his riddles, while simultaneously working alongside the Catwoman and GCPD Lieutenant Gordon on investigating the city's deep-seated hidden corruption. Okay, look, both of these movies have their merits when it comes to their storytelling. They both clearly go for the far more dark and gritty take on the character. I would, however, say that the Batman did go a little darker and drearier though. However, I also believe that the Batman might have had a little too much going on at times. A few too many subplots, some characters that just didn't get quite as much attention as I felt they deserved, and a little too much filler that pushed the runtime to be a little bit longer than it needed. Geez, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells here. Both have phenomenal villains that really changed the game. In the end though, I do believe that The Dark Knight had a clearer idea of where it wanted its story to go and how to execute that perfectly. Therefore, I'm going to be giving the fifth and final round and the crown to The Dark Knight. Look, this movie just has it all in terms of storytelling. The Batman truly wasn't far off, but it just got lost sometimes in which direction it wanted to go. And I felt that it just had a little too much fluff as well. I mean, 3 hours was just too long, man. It could have been an easy 2.5, made the script a little bit tighter, and I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more, and it honestly could have stole this round because I do love that movie. But The Dark Knight is just a masterpiece in my own humble opinion. And while the Batman did put up a hell of a fight, I do truthfully think that The Dark Knight still reigns supreme. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my winner. While you're at it, feel free to let me know who you would have chosen to win each round, and don't forget to suggest what Cinema Showdown you'd like to see me cover next. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.